Loud and clear.
Nice. All right. Let me check if we're live already. I think we are. All right. So yeah. First of all, thanks everybody for being here. This has been long overdue, this episode with Lex. We've been talking, I don't know, I think late September for the first time. So it's been quite a while. And it's been all boiling up to this moment. So thanks for being here, Lex. And also thanks everybody watching live. Please tell us if the sound is all right. This is the most important thing, as always.
Yeah.
And yeah, Lex, how are you? How's everything going?
Oh, doing good. It's my pleasure to be here. Super excited. It's been a blast ever since we started collaborating. And just seeing how the community is growing, how Cosmos is growing, keeping an eye on Cryptocito stuff always to make sure that I know what's going on, because it's so easy when you're building a project to just get so absorbed. And a huge part of having community support, having your support, has just been like keeping awareness of all the different things that are going on in the Cosmos space. So it's been huge.
Awesome. Yeah. And first people are saying sound is good here, audio is good. Awesome. Please, before we start talking, I think a lot of people need to hear this now live, right? And you can also submit questions. We'll go through this later. So share this link with all your friends and all your family, but only people that you like and people that you think deserve to listen to this, right? Because I don't even know what's coming now, but I think Lex has some alpha to share with us. So
we'll get into the goodies.
Yeah, and also before we dive in, I have to thank you, because my channel actually on Twitter really exploded when we did this cosmonaut giveaway, right? That was absolutely crazy. And I gained like 5,000 followers or something crazy overnight. So thanks also for helping me to grow my channel. I think that's a cool and beautiful thing, right? Which is reflected in the Cosmos community to mutually support each other, mutually grow, right? Without much kind of like tribalism and hate. So I think that's where we can start. Your Cosmos journey. I think you started very unusual with Akash, then you expanded to Cosmos, and then you went kind of like fully into crypto, right? So maybe you can share your crypto journey, your Cosmos journey, and your views on the whole space.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I started initially just as an investor in Akash, just buying tokens, right? And for me, the power there was obvious because we were working in the development space, right? People who have kept an eye on what we're doing with Strangeclan have probably worked their way back to, okay, the Passage is the platform they're building, 3 Division is our studio, and we've been building for clients for years. And so, we're very familiar with the whole process and what it takes to build a product. And cloud compute is so important to that, right? So many of our programs, our websites, recently, if you've seen AWS go down, the number of services that drop with it, it's crazy how much stuff is built on these centralized servers. And so we've been intimately aware of that for a long time. And so when I saw this potential, not simply an alternative to AWS, but, alternative infrastructure that goes even beyond, what AWS is, was huge. And this concept was huge. So, immediately was sold on the idea. And so, I've been invested in Akash for a long time, and, naturally started following Greg, became more aware of the Cosmos community. Then when Osmosis came about, right, I've been buying Akash on BitMax, right, before it was Ascension, or I forget, Ascendex.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. And, so it was one of those things where it was like, I could see how important it was to have our own DEX, right? And then, again, I've been trading on MetaMask, and then or on Uniswap, and coming into Cosmos, getting involved, right? Actually using the product. So we started building some of our websites on Akash, because again, we're building stuff constantly, our own websites for our studio, websites for clients. And we're able to just start using it in terms of like infrastructure, while at the same time I'm, speculating, investing, getting to know the community. And just the more that we connected with Cosmos people, like that was what made it such a clear play for me to be involved in this space, was just the people that are involved in Cosmos. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we have osmosis now to get all these Cosmos coins, because I think Ascendex was hacked a few days ago, right? I think
Oh wow.
yesterday they got hacked yesterday. I don't know. I heard something yesterday. I'm just pulling it up. I
Yeah.
think it was a few 100 million. I don't know if it's I don't
Just
know
a few
numbers,
hundred
but
million. That's all.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. Like all these centralized structures. It's like, I don't know, like crypto is just so much better in so many aspects, right?
Yeah.
It just cuts out middlemen and increases efficiency, and also profits for participants, because you're directly engaging and interacting with code, right? That has never happened before.
Right.
So I think a lot of these traditional structures and also centralized structures, like even within crypto, will be obsolete. I also remember back then you said, so we talked a lot about Akash on our calls back then, and I remember you also talked about Render, right? Render Network.
Yeah.
They also since then mooned, absolutely went through the
Yeah.
roof. I think 4-5x. So can you share a little bit from your perspective? Because for me, it's really hard to understand sometimes these very technical projects, right? Especially in the cloud industry. I don't have a technical background. For me, it's hard to wrap my head around. Maybe give an example between Akash and Render, because they're completing project, right? They're completing itself.
Right.
And then talk a little bit about this cloud industry and what got you hooked on Akash in the first place.
Yeah, and so in a sense, it's actually really interesting. Greg addressed this in a tweet, and I'm technical enough to understand what he said, but not technical enough to remember exactly what the technical details were. But because I'm not a developer, right? I've managed development teams for years, and so I have a good understanding of a lot of the stuff. And I've been in the 3D space, so rendering and compute makes sense to me. And basically, Render Token is a project started by the Otoy team, and they're big in the 3D space. So they have a whole rendering platform called Octane. And, it's interesting because a lot of what they're doing was primarily targeted towards offline rendering. So the kind of rendering you do to render out a Pixar movie that gets played back the same way, right? Render out a bunch of images that make a movie. Not real-time rendering, which you would use for games, right? But they've done real-time stuff. I've seen some of their demos where they had real-time streaming. It hasn't been a core part of their platform yet. So I'm curious to see where that goes. But they have GPUs. That's the big thing, right? Because in the 3D rendering space, any kind of visual rendering, GPUs are going to be huge. It's going to be a big part of it, right? Whereas Akash was much more focused on more broadly the compute marketplace. And a lot of the development pipelines that you'd be using this for, you don't need GPU, right? You can be using CPU and things like that. So that's some of the main differences right now. The render token system is probably, initially their experience is more geared towards offline rendering, towards visual effects, towards animation, filmmaking, things like that. Whereas Akash is geared much more towards the development flow. And the Otoy team and the render team seem I talked to Jules Urbach, CEO of Otoy, and super visionary dude. I can easily see the hype that could be created around his kind of like big picture vision for metaverse, NFTs, and things like that, and teaming up with Solana, right? Big hype factory, right? We'll see what comes of it, right? For me, and I'm super interested in using any of the tools that we can to bring about these unique virtual experiences. But the proof's in the pudding, right? It's like, we'll see how it turns out. I think it's exciting. I think naturally people are going to speculate because, again, Solana is an ecosystem that has tons of marketing and hype, paired up with a team that's very visionary in Render and Otoy. But, we'll see how it actually works out, how it gets used.
Yeah, that's another thing. One thing is the partners and everything that you have. And another thing is the loyalty and engagement of the community, right? And I think that's something that we can see with the Strangeclan. You guys absolutely nailed it, right? I remember you had just a few hundred followers, and now I don't know what's the current
17,000 now.
17,000, right? And that's not just like a number. There's like a lot of people. You can see also here right now in the comments, right? YAWP. You can see Lisa's here. You can see James is here. Like, these guys are active.
Oh, they show up, man.
They're active, right? And the whole like gamification and design, and there's like so many things. I also think one of the success factors, for example, of Osmosis is the fact that you have this kind of like daily engagement on the platform, right? It's kind of like a habit for us to every single day at whatever time it is. For me, it's 6 p.m. here, that we go on the platform and then we, claim our staking rewards. We have different strategies. We're like swapping it for other coins or restake them or whatever. Just kind of like this gamification factor. I think something that people in crypto underestimate is to focus on the user, focus on the community. And you've been also incredibly active over the past few months, going on phone calls with everyone, right? Not even in front of the camera to like get the views and everything, just to like generally say, hey, what does the community want? And I think that's very, very powerful and very important for the success of any project out there. So what is so you then basically became a full-time cosmonaut, and also the first NFT that you guys made is the Cosmonaut. So I don't know, maybe you can share some thoughts about the Cosmos ecosystem as a whole, and also where do you see the Strangeclan fitting into that?
Yeah, totally. So basically, there's so much going on in Cosmos right now. That was part of the reason that part of the reason that we we're connecting with so many people, talking to so many people, was because we recognize there's a lot going on here, and there's so much that we can't manage ourselves, right? We need to focus on the core elements that we're building and the core pieces that are unique to us, to the things that we're good at, and we'll work together, play nice to other people, right? And that's why Cosmos is such a great ecosystem, is that you can basically close your eyes, spin around, and point at a project, and you're going to find an incredible team of collaborators, of thinkers, of problem solvers. And there's just, everywhere you go, you're running into people who have a lot to contribute, which is really cool and really powerful. In other ecosystems, it's difficult because it's been marketed so heavily. And frankly, in some ways, other ecosystems are more accessible. They're not easier to use, right? The UX in Cosmos is incredible. Some of the best experiences are here. Social paths, right? The path into Cosmos, you have to do more research to know this is where you need to be, right? And so there's fewer people here and fewer hype projects. And so in other ecosystems, there's a ton of bloat. There's a ton of 50, 100 projects that you'll have to sort through just to find one gem, right? Whereas in Cosmos, 99% gems. That's crazy, but really 99% gems. And just because there's not that many people here, and you got to do a lot of work just to get here and to understand the value here. So our role in this ecosystem, first and foremost, content. We want to deliver something that is exciting now. That's I think the Cosmos spirit is long-term vision, delivering today, right? What can you deliver today? And for us, it's going to be really content heavy up front. We can create experiences, we can create animations, comics. There's a lot that we can do to engage people with a story and with pull people into the conversation like this, right? Content, keep people engaged, keep people entertained while we're building out more of the long-term vision. One of the things that I do want to talk about at some point is this concept and I mentioned it on our AMA, but I'd love to go a little deeper into it, which is a Strangeclan prologue, right? And our goal is basically, we want to deliver some of the value for NFT holders and token holders. I think at this point, it's pretty clear that YAWP token is a thing, and that's going to be the token that we're building for the Strangeclan community, and it's going to be the token within the Strangeclan game. And we want to build value for that early on, even though we recognize delivering a AAA game, with online features, multiplayer, and a large open world ecosystem is going to take time, right? And so we want to be able to get people involved quickly. And this Strangeclan prologue experience is going to be an opportunity for us to do that, where it's kind of like an easier access point, lower development requirements, but tons and tons, very content rich, lots of story elements, lots of opportunities to engage and to earn, I don't want to say DeFi play, because ultimately it's really meant to be story based. Where DeFi Kingdom is kind of like, DeFi with a game skin. We want this to be very story oriented, and buried underneath the story, you realize, oh wait, this is DeFi, right? It should be almost like unrecognizable until you come away with, you know, a bunch of tokens and some NFTs and start selling them on the marketplace. And you're like, shoot, I just made a bunch of money, right? But that shouldn't be what you're focusing on. It shouldn't be this experience where you're like trying to entertain people just to keep them involved long enough to make some money. Like, you know, cheap tricks, right? It's like, oh, look at these cute pixel graphics. It's like, no, let's actually make a rich narrative experience. And we've got some really cool, I mean, right now we're talking to like the creator of Earthworm Jim and Cat Scratch from Nickelodeon, like classic animators and creators, as well as voice talent from Avatar: The Last Airbender, like Nickelodeon, Funimation. We're talking to people who are like recognizable talent that we're getting involved in the creation process so that we can make something that's an exciting and like high quality experience, right? Like coming out of a professional studio, but it's going to be in Cosmos. It's going to be, you know, DeFi. It's going to be decentralized. And so I think that's really our place in the Cosmos ecosystem is delivering quality content in the company. There's so many incredible builders, right? But what we need now is content. That's one of the most important things for what we're doing.
I 100% agree. I think, and especially now with the rise of NFTs, it's not just the rise, it's the hype of NFTs. You can see so much copycats, right? Everybody's trying to create digital arts and just to get it out there and make quick money. And that's fine. That's what, you know, crypto is also 95% about, is for people to make quick money, right? Everybody has that dream. But I think really focusing on what you just said helps to the longevity and sustainability of a project, right? Because like I said, that's the Cosmos vision, right? Long-term planning or, you know, ideas that are being executed on today, but, you know, in a slow fashion. I think sometimes Cosmos gets called out for that, for not being that high project, right? For not being that, you know, oh, we're getting listed on this exchange or that exchange, right? I remember back then, the Atom token, when it came out, or the Atom coin, people didn't even like contact centralized exchanges, right? The centralized exchange just listed them because the tech was good. And I think if you have a good product, it will sell itself, but also at the same time, like you say, you have to build a community, you have to focus on them, you have to engage with them. So it's a very thin line between, like, to find that sweet spot, I think, for a project to become successful. But let's step a little bit back from here, because we're already pretty deep into computing, decentralization, gaming, gamification. So maybe first of all, can you tell us, for the non-gamers, which also includes myself, why do games even have to be on the blockchain?
Yeah, absolutely. It really all comes down to ownership. I mean, what elements of the game have to be on the blockchain? I mean, some people are invested in the concept of, you know, provably fair dynamics. Some of that's important. I know there's some cool infrastructure there in Forte that partnered with Tendermint to take more of those elements and put them on the blockchain as much as you can out of the game. But if you can just take the assets, just the items themselves, and put those on the blockchain so that people can actually own the value they're contributing, right? Because here's our core belief. Our core belief is that the community that we've built, that any community that builds around a game or an experience has inherent value, right? There's value there because people enjoy coming together, right? Which naturally attracts other people. You've got people who can kind of like guide people into the ecosystem. People build their own stories and their own experiences when they're together, right? And so, you know, if you get 10 people in a room talking, you don't need to turn the TV on necessarily because you entertain each other, right? It's like self-perpetuating content. And so if you can create a social experience, you don't need to create tons and tons of content. So there's value there. Those people are creating your content for you. There's so many ways in which that is cash money in the bank just to get a lot of people into the experience, right? The community itself has inherent value. The question is, who's going to own that value, right? It's you or Epic or, you know, the big game studios. Are they going to take the value and just siphon it out into their, you know, bloated infrastructure? Or does the community get to own a share of that value, right? And obviously the ecosystem has to perpetuate itself, right? You do want to be able to deliver more content. You want to be able to create more things to give to the community. So you have to take some value and make it into something and deliver it back to the community to keep feeding the community. but it's been wildly unbalanced for a long time. And that's why we need NFTs in games and blockchain, is so that those users can take ownership of the value they're creating.
Yeah, Errol, who is your brother, is saying
Yep.
play to own.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before, but it's pretty good. And I think obviously the play to earn concept blew up really with Axis Infinity, and you see all these other games now coming up.
Yeah.
But actually, what you're doing in a decentralized world, gaming environment, is you own things, right? Even
Right.
digital items. I hope Peter Schiff is in the stream right now and listens to this, because I think he didn't really fully understand that part, that you can now, through decentralized protocols, own digital items, right? Whether it's a coin, whether it's money, whether it's information, or whatever it is, but you can have ownership, right? And NFTs play a huge role in that. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the architecture of Strangeclan, because you mentioned it earlier. You have Passage 3D, which is kind of like this metaverse world that you're building, where you have different worlds. Then you have Strangeclan, which is the game. So maybe you can share a little bit about the dynamics behind the different teams that are involved, and which purpose, for example, Passage pursues in contrast to the Strangeclan.
Yeah, absolutely. So Passage is the ecosystem, right? And right now it's not really an ecosystem yet, because we're still building a lot of the tools that will allow people to engage like an ecosystem. We're building tools for developers, tools for creators. And the idea is that right now it's super custom. So we're doing all this stuff really from scratch, right? I mean, we have a lot of development behind us in terms of the core feature set for a Passage experience, right? And a lot of that is communication tools. It's the streaming elements. So the core offering, or the core value of Passage, is a multiplayer ecosystem where users can, people have seen videos of us. I mean, all you have to do is go to @Passage3D on Twitter, start scrolling down, and you'll see a bunch of demos, right? Because we've used this for live events. We're using it every day for our team meetings. It is a working product where you can walk around in a virtual environment as a video avatar. So when you look at somebody, they're looking at you, right? And they can see you, like you're looking face to face, right? It feels very face to face. And it's also spatialized audio. Yeah, exactly, right. And we were playing around with some FPS style mechanics inside the 3Division office. And again, yeah, this is where we do all of our team meetings, right? So we're like actively collaborating in this space. And Blockhouse is another world that we're building right now. And this is going to be a place for NFT auctions, music performances. We've got a bunch of like really interesting musicians and talent with their own substantial followings that we're bringing into the Cosmos space to do events, right? We've got an artist who does work for like, he's done a lot of pieces for like Marvel. He's done, he's got a Deadpool piece. He's got some Star Wars pieces, like stuff from like Bruce Lee and like Hollywood celebrities that have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, his artwork. He recently did a sale, an NFT sale, sold for $1 million. And he's going to be doing we're coordinating an event with him inside Blockhouse, right? We're trying to bring quality talent into these little virtual worlds, right? And again, right now we're building these from scratch. And we've got a lot of core features. It's the communication, but it's also streaming. So you can access these worlds just through a browser. And this is where Akash is really important, or cloud computing is important, because the worlds are being processed on a cloud machine. And all those graphics are just streamed to your phone, to your laptop, tablet, whatever. And so you don't have to download any apps. It's super lightweight, because what we're looking for is adoption, right? Easier opportunities for people to get into these immersive experiences, to get involved in blockchain games, or an immersive 3D NFT auction, right? And our goal is, we're building a few worlds to start. We're building out our own office more, right? And we're going to be building offices for other teams as well. And that's just one application, is remote work. And we've already had high-profile gaming studios who are interested in this, that we've been collaborating with, to build them a virtual office, right? Because their workflow is already 3D stuff, right? So, we get a couple people working. And what's so cool about this is there's this product, this platform is like so bear market resistant that it's because basically people need to work year round, right? Like, and even more so when you have, real world issues going on where people aren't traveling or they're stuck in their house, or, then they're working from home. And that's where this software is even more valuable, because it gives people the opportunity to collaborate in an immersive way. So there's the remote work use case. Strangeclan is another world that we're building, obviously, for that game world. And then we're also building out Blockhouse. And those are kind of the three core use cases for Passage right now: remote work, gaming, and entertainment in Blockhouse. And we've got a bunch of partners who are going to be launching events inside Blockhouse. And then we have a few unannounced worlds that we're doing with partners that are still, this is not the alpha. Just don't want to get anybody too excited, because this is exciting. It's really exciting because, again, we have a working product, right? Like, I love Sandbox. Like, I love Decentraland in terms of what they're doing. You can't bet against, the hype that they've gotten. It's powerful, but nobody wants to be in Decentraland, and nobody can be in Sandbox. There's nothing to do in Decentraland. I've played, it's like cool concept, but nobody's there. There's nothing to do. And in Sandbox, it's like, they're doing alpha stuff now, which is cool, but you can't use it yet. We've really approached things from a bare bones element where, instead of trying to build some massive world that everyone can be in right now, we're building smaller worlds for specific applications, an office for these people, a game for these people, an event for these people. And once we have enough content, once there are enough worlds, we connect everything, right? And then it's one big world where you can hop between different events and things like that. But for now, it's a lot more focused. And so it's a lot easier to create a meaningful and exciting experience when you're focused on one thing and a core feature set that gives you kind of accessible, immersive communication. Plus, our graphics look nicer than those applications, which is nice, but just a bonus. And so, that's where we're at right now.
There's a lot of really, really cool things that you said, and I also think that it's in the time right now, right? Especially through COVID, people have learned to work online, right? And even my dad, who is retiring next year, he started to work from home since late last year, and now he's like, man, why did I not do that earlier? It's much more chilled, it's more cooler. But like these Skype meetings or Zoom meetings or whatever, they're pretty static and boring, right? So I think this is something that's inevitably going to happen, especially also now with the Meta announcement that Facebook is now heavily going onto this metaverse train. I think that's going to fuel also this transition. So is Passage and Strangeclan, is it then the same teams that are working on it, or do you have different structures, like people working on it, or how is that working?
So it's all one core team right now. The core team is our 3Division studio, but we have different studios that we've partnered with to kind of supplement each process. So we just talked with a content team today that is out of Poland, and they're helping us to scale the work on developing the Blockhouse virtual space, right? So we have our own core team that's working on like the core infrastructure technology. We have to build a totally unique architecture for audio and video, because nobody's done audio and video the way that we're doing it in 3D. In Zoom, you can show a couple people all on the same screen, and that's pretty much all you get. You maybe see 10 people at a time. You got to like swipe to see more people, or it pulls people in as they're talking or whatever, right? But you never really see that many people. And in our 3D space, you can just turn and see people all around you. So if there's 100 people around you, you've got to at least see something of their video feed. And so, we're creating our own architecture for how that works. And that's our team. That's an in-house team in the US that we've been working together for the last 5 years as a team. And we've been building this particular product for over almost 2 years now. And the other team, so we basically have in-house core people who are leading the efforts for each world, right? For Strangeclan, for Blockhouse, and for Passage core infrastructure. And we have partner teams that are helping us to scale up for content. And we're hiring. If there are any, interested blockchain developers out there, blockchain leaders who are either have good experience in, blockchain architecture. Honestly, Cosmos experience is not essential because it's super easy to pick up. There's like a lot of great resources. But Go and Rust developers for smart contracts would be super helpful because we're constantly adding more people to the team right now. We just want to be able to do that really thoughtfully and carefully in a way that's scalable, because as we take on more people, what's cool is we have a working product, so we actually can make sales and continue to generate revenue. So we're not constantly reliant on external funding. But nonetheless, we're still trying to scale up in a way that's responsible and makes sense. So that's why we've used these kind of supplemental teams to help increase the workflow in a way that's more flexible, right? So we've got these kind of like content teams who are helping build out the space for Strangeclans, helping with the character flow for creating Strangeclan 3D characters, helping with level design for Blockhouse and things like that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think if anybody's listening now and is excited and looks for new opportunities also in the crypto space, then talk to Lexs and also to Ariel, who is in the chat right now. Yeah, maybe there's place to collaborate. I think there's so much that's coming. I think next we can actually go through the game plan that you guys have, right? So I'll share my screen for that. We can actually go through the Strangeclan website. I hope it actually works the way I want it with my full screen. You can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe you can walk us through the whole concept and plan of Strangeclan and also where we currently are, right? Because the first drop of the NFTs already went live, was pretty successful. The first count is there. So yeah, maybe you can share some of your thoughts here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so just keep scrolling. Scroll down, the roadmap further down, we can kind of go through it. Okay. There are definitely elements of this that have changed. This is actually, if there are any front-end developers, we need front-end developers too, because we need to do updates on like all of our websites right now. But this is still pretty much accurate. It's just some of the elements have shifted as the scope grew for the game. So if you start at the top, I mean, basically we've got Town 1, where we're beginning. The Genesis town, and Town 1, we did the launch, the NFTs, we sold half of the supply and raised about 2 million in Atom at the time. And then as you go down, basically the next step after that was really meant to be farming. And so there's two things that are coming up right now. The marketplace, I guess, is below that, but basically the way this was meant to work and the way things worked out, we're doing the marketplace and farming. Those are basically the two kind of next steps, really, because for Town 2, we want to make sure that we want to reward passage token holders and give them priority access for Town 2. We're still figuring out exactly how that's going to work, but I think we want to have both tokens ready before we launch Town 2. And so the steps are kind of like the marketplace is going to launch within the next week. We're going to see how the Moneta upgrade goes in 2 days and be doing testing throughout that time period. And then within about a week, we should have the marketplace live for the Strangeclan NFTs. And it's a passage marketplace. We're going to be launching a bunch of new NFTs there as well. And that's coming from our partners who are doing launches in the Blockhouse, right? And other partners that we're working with. We're looking to push as much content into the Cosmos space as possible. I actually just had somebody reach out to me today from another NFT project that wants to collaborate. And so, I'm looking to see how I can get more NFTs into our ecosystem. And what's cool is, hopefully, actually within the next week or so, we'll be able to share the first draft of the white paper as well. But there are some cool elements in there for rewarding passage token holders, or maybe specifically passage token stakers, with a profit share from the marketplace, right? So the more volume we do in trades, the more that holders and stakers will benefit. So the goal for the marketplace is that it just is a really strong synergy point between all the different worlds that are going to be built on passage, and that it'll be kind of a resource for the assets that would live in those worlds, right? So whether it's characters, whether it's buildings, items, whatever it may be. So farming is going to be, and this is actually
let's one question regarding the marketplace.
Yeah,
so you just said, so you said there will be 2 tokens that are going live. One is the YAWP token, I guess, and the other one is a native Passage 3 token. Okay. And then the marketplace, because you also just mentioned Moneta, which is this major upgrade coming to Juno, right? Is that the marketplace that's going to be built on Juno?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So you're waiting for the upgrade to work smoothly, to be implemented, and then you launch the coins, and then you will launch the marketplace on top of Juno, right?
So the marketplace will launch first, and then the tokens will launch afterwards.
All right. That's cool. All right. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep.
All right. So
and then once the tokens launch, that's when we'll be able to start airdrops for all the NFT holders. And then after the marketplace, we're working right now on building out at the same time as we're building the marketplace. You can see there's a lot going on. But we're building out the Strangeclan prologue experience, which is basically going to be almost like a text-based adventure, like almost like a comic book, right? More than a 3D game, right? And the goal is to make something that's accessible, to make something where people can get in and get involved in the story right away, but still do stuff. Like that's going to be the way that you start, that people who have an NFT character are going to start to play a role in that story, right? And that's where they're going to be able to get farming rewards, is through interacting daily with the with this experience, right? And it's going to be very accessible. It's going to be easy for users to get involved. But the idea is that there's opportunities not just to get Strangeclan tokens, not just to farm tokens, but also to get additional items, to get additional opportunities. And I'm telling you, there's a bunch of really cool incentives here, a bunch of really interesting tokenomics when story comes first, right? If you have a really strong story, there's a bunch of ways to incentivize people to get engaged, to stay engaged, to stake assets. The whole idea is that basically, as people are interacting with the narrative, people who have Genesis NFTs will actually be able to begin to shape the narrative. They'll begin to unlock new locations that people can explore, and you could sell access to that location as like a piece of a map, right? It'd be an NFT as like a piece of a map. And so like the whole idea is to encourage people to explore the narrative, and it's going to be very, very story based. But again, also pulling in a lot of the rich art from our creative team, and also being able to leverage a lot of our partners that in the content creation space, in the production space, for things like voice acting, animation, artwork, because we want to make a super high quality story experience. So it's not just going to be farming, right? The whole idea is this is not just DeFi with some cool graphics, but we want to actually create a rich story experience. And we've got some cool partners in the Cosmos space who are helping us with some of the underlying tokenomic infrastructure and how to do some really cool, innovative things in terms of managing things like LPs, positions, and the tokenization of the narrative itself.
Awesome. Yeah. So in the longer run, where do you see Strangeclan fitting in? I guess my assumption is that in the longer run, it's going to be. If I stop sharing my screen. All right. Yeah, I guess in the longer run that Strangeclan will basically become part of Passage, right? And you have all these different worlds, you have all these different spaces and towns and all these things, and it will also become interoperable. Is that how it's going to be like, or what's the long-term vision for the projects?
Right. So imagine going into your gaming. It's after work, whenever, and you pull it up on your phone on the way to work, or you pull it up on your computer while you're at home. And that's the beauty, is if you want on your if you got one of these beautiful monsters, you could download the client, right, and get 4K resolution, uncapped frame rate, things like that, and play an epic, beautiful game. And then if you just want to stream it, you're on the road or whatever, you pull it up on your phone, same thing, you're playing the game. You've got, land that you can own. You're farming for assets. So you're chopping down trees with your buddies. You're, actually farming, food and other things. You're foraging for like rare items and stuff like that. And we're really focused on a strong multiplayer co-op experience. So things like being able to do different activities together, and just even like social community element. I imagine like, what if we're doing this call right here, but like in the background we can see each other face to face in the 3D environment, but just kind of like without even thinking about it, we're like tilling the ground, and like, oh, I'm gonna plant some tomatoes here. Like, let's start, harvesting some trees or whatever. And you could actually be casually and socially, playing a game with, a serious community element, right? And then, new storylines pop up, new quests pop up. You go on your quest, you come away with some items, and every quest will almost be like another fresh NFT launch, where there's going to be waves and seasons of different unlockable items, different rare items you could only get in that season of gameplay, right? And you have the chance of getting more or less rare items, your legendary, epic, whatever. And then you can go and sell that stuff in the marketplace, right? So you're gaming, you bring loot back and customize your home that's built on NFT based land. And there's a bunch of cool, obviously fun ecosystem elements that are there. But then let's say you've got an event you're going to, right? Like, oh, and there's going to be this concert or whatever. So instead of like stopping the game, you go to the menu and hop over to the Blockhouse world, right? And you're still that NFT character, but in a different world, right? And you pull out that, oh, hey, I just found this legendary sword or whatever on this quest that I was on, right? And then you've got to go to work the next day, and you jump into your work meeting as the operator, right? And point being, the whole goal of this ecosystem is that there should be interoperability, right? Your characters, your assets, your relationships should all translate across different experiences. And our goal is to build something that's cohesive, where it's not just gaming, right? We don't want to build just one game. We want to build a system where people can make experiences that all connect, right? So that there isn't this arbitrary divide between the different virtual from navigating on Twitter, and ultimately, long term, I want this to become a content platform, right? I want it to be accessible enough that anybody can create a world, or can create a space within another world, as easy as setting up a Facebook page, right? And then that becomes a place for you to author content, to share content, to have people, right? To do events, things like that. And I really want this to become, a social network in a big way, right? But it's a social network that's organically, for one, is decentralized, right? And is organically connected to all the other things that you're doing, right? You would have the same decentralized relationships, so you can carry your relationships over from experience, from world to world. Decentralized assets, so that the items that you collect carry over from world to world. And same things with your identity, or the characters that you're creating, the experiences you're having. All of that should be interoperable. And that's why another reason Cosmos is so important, because we have this kind of base standard of interoperability with IBC.
Man, that's really exciting. There's so much it's just a no-brainer. All this is going to happen. And I think if somebody is able to execute on that, then it's you and the team. You guys have already provided so much value to the Cosmos community, to the Cosmos ecosystem, and you're shipping products, you're shipping things. I've experienced personally also, that was already a couple of months ago. Not sure if, I'm sure there's already some updates, and it looks completely different now, but I've already experienced one of these worlds. And also like these little details where if you turn around, you hear it from a different kind of like angle and different sound, and it feels like you're actually in that world, right? To be able to ship this technology already today and implement features like Cosmos core technology pieces, I think that's something that just shows, how, like, where we're headed, where we're standing right now, and how powerful Cosmos actually is. Because at the same time, I think that's also what's missing in Cosmos, right? I think Cosmos is dragging a little bit behind when it comes to NFT stuff and all these things. But now with you going live, also the guys of Omniflix, Stargaze, right? They're all building cool things here, all with different focuses and niches. I think we have a very solid NFT front coming up. So that's super, super exciting. Before we jump into community questions, we're already at 45 minutes and we have 80 people watching right now. Share with us the alpha. What's going on here? What's up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So basically, I mean, the big stuff right now that I think is really exciting is what's happening around Strangeclan prologue, right? The whole idea is that basically we're trying to create an experience that's going to be accessible right now, right? Where people are going to be able to get involved. They're going to be able to interact with narrative influences, right? Voice actors that they would recognize, right? It's going to be a quality storytelling experience, and ultimately, so here's my big scheme. I've actually mentioned this to you before, but I want, for one, to create a clear functional value proposition for the YAWP token in Strangeclan Prologue, right? I want within, quickly, right? Shortly after we launch the marketplace, I want to be able to quickly put together this experience where people could already start to farm tokens, start engaging with storyline and different quests. And this is stuff that I think is super accessible, get people engaged. And there's some really cool stuff that we can do to incentivize LPing, right? And using the LP asset as a storytelling asset, right? To incentivize people to hold and to push the narrative forward in the game as the prologue builds toward the game itself and towards the story, right? So, high functional use for the YAWP token, but at the same time, and this is what I think, this is going to be a huge community effort. But I think, and this is, I think, something that Cosmos is missing, is quality marketing, right? And a ton of hype. And I want the YAWP token to become not only because it was interesting because, I love, we've technically got a meme coin, right? We have Chihuahua, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that on their page, and, we need to talk to their marketing people. It says something like, totally useless coin or something like that.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be funny, and it is funny. But that's not what other meme coins are saying. Like the real meme coins are, in some cases, pretending, to have use case, right? They're like, no, like, it's going to do this, and it's for charity. This goes to charity, and this is going to happen. Like, look at like Shiba Inu or Floki or whatever, and all of them are professing to have some type of use case, right? And so I think a real meme coin does have to have use case, but it also has to have tons and tons of hype, right? It needs to have like exciting visuals. It needs to just be like, and again, this is why I think YAWP token was so perfect, because I think it has the potential to be not only like a highly value driven, quality mechanics, huge use case, but also a ridiculous meme coin, right? Because one of my favorite feelings is when we'll like let the community know, like, hey, we're trying to reach out to this influencer, like, would you just drop a comment on this status, whatever? And then it's just like 100, 200 YAWPs in a row, right? And I'll scroll through like their posts. This is somebody who has like, hundreds of thousands or millions of followers. And every other comment on the thread will have like, 3, 4, maybe 10 likes, a couple comments. And ours has like 200 likes, 200 comments, and it's all just YAWP. And to the point where like we've had large influencers just replying to like, what is YAWP? Like, what is this, right? And it's something where like that's what we want people to be thinking about. And I have this dream, kind of like what you did with Cosmoverse and the conference, where basically you would be able to, we want to get YAWP trending, right? Like we want to get like the social impact and create this kind of like hype around what's going on. And I think there's a huge potential for that with the YAWP token. This could be, again, functional, and there's so many exciting things that I want to share about the specifics behind that, and the Strangeclan prologue experience, right? I think there's a huge opportunity here, but then also I just want this to be a ridiculous meme effort for the community, so that we can finally get just an absurd meme adoption within the Cosmos community.
Is there already something in terms of supply and all these kind of things that you can share in terms of numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in terms of the white paper, so we have a complete white paper for the passage token, and a huge percent of it's going towards airdrop. So, buckle up.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the NFT holders are getting airdrops, and we'll probably be able to announce pretty soon where else those airdrops are going for the passage token, and obviously have to have a healthy allocation towards airdrops in the Cosmos community.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
But then with the Strangeclan token, we're still figuring some of that out. And I have this idea that for Passage, right, it's an investment vehicle for us as well, right? Like we want to be able to make the most fundamentally useful, I hate to use the word metaverse, but virtual worlds, right? With Passage, we've got a big vision, and so being able to get funding is important, right? So we have to have all of these different private sale, public sale allocations for the token, and to be able to make sure we can make something that's valuable and big. But then with the Strangeclan token, we don't need to worry about any of that. Like it really is a community focused token because it's going to be something that people earn for getting involved, right? And so some people have already earned it by getting involved by buying their NFTs, and so they'll be able to start farming right away. And another really interesting mechanic. So I had this incredible idea that basically, because I'm constantly thinking, and we have a lot of really cool concepts for how the characters are different from the Genesis characters, right? Because other people have to get involved, but how do the Genesis characters stand out? And a big part of I think is that the Genesis characters will be. I have this concept for how they can influence the story and how that can be a big part of capturing value, and then actually capture story elements into limited edition NFTs. So like exclusive features for Genesis character holders that gives them an opportunity to not, because you don't want it to just be one of these things where it's like, well, they're the only ones who can reach level 100. It's like, well, then it's just a pay to win, right? It's like, then you just like, well, the early people are the only ones who can really play the game the way it's meant to be played. You don't want that, but you do want those NFTs to be the ones that hold the most influence in terms of, world building, story development, but then also being able to, those are the only, first off, those are the starting characters, but they're the only ones who can recruit new characters, right? So they're the ones who are going to discover new characters within the game, even within the prologue. So it's like those Genesis holders become the vehicle to get other people involved, right? So until they, sell, recruited characters to new users, they're the only they're the ones who are going to bring new people into the system is the idea, right? And so they're going to basically get a huge percentage of the incoming value because as the ecosystem grows, they're the ones that own the value bringing new people in, right? So that's one big element for being able to use the NFTs and the budding ecosystem. But then I was talking about the Strangeclan token, right?
Yep.
And so, initially the people farming that are going to be Genesis characters exclusively in the beginning. And, but then the idea is that there's so many cool things I think we can do with that token in terms of more limited supply and things like that. Because, kind of like what's happened with Ion, because it's really, it's just meant to be for the community, right? This is the value proposition. As the community grows, there should be more value in that token because more people are using it. There's going to be more demand for it because it's going to be a crucial part of the game economy. So we don't have specific numbers yet for the Strangeclan token in terms of supply and things like that, but it will be extremely limited because I'm like prone to say that a huge percentage of the token will simply be generated through farming, right? It's simply going to be users playing the game, right? And so it could have a very limited supply in the beginning because that like some of the concerns I have are like, well, what about liquidity? How can people trade to get involved? And I'm like, we may have, arbitrarily high pricing in the beginning. Like we're still figuring some of that out. We want it to be a good experience, want people to, but at the same time, we want this to be really community focused, right? So yeah, that's the priority right now. And we're figuring out how more of the details on the technical side for how to execute that.
And what is then the kind of like liquidity pool side of things, right? Whenever a new coin comes out, people are trading in osmosis. There's an LBP. Some projects choose CoinList or some other centralized ways to kind of like roll it out, conduct a token sale or whatever. Is that also something you guys are considering, or mostly pool farming and then price finding on osmosis, or what's the game plan?
So we're actively talking with the osmosis team because that's where we want to be. We want to be working with them to deliver new opportunities for people to get engaged with the token. Frankly, that's where a lot of liquidity is going to end up, is osmosis. It's a huge priority for us because they have so clearly delivered incredible value with what they've built in their ecosystem. We want to be a part of that. I've got a call with John Patton, the head of growth at Osmosis, this week. We've talked a couple of times. Great guys. They're some of the ones, giving us really cool ideas for how we can manage things like liquidity. And hopefully we'll be able to drop more about that soon. But yeah, when we've looked into the idea of doing a what was it called? The
LBP
liquidity bootstrapping, right? And so that's one way to do things. I would be super open to that. For me, it's just kind of figuring out what's going to be the most organic way to incentivize liquidity. I would love to do it through some kind of storytelling mechanic, so that naturally, as people earn the token, they're incentivized through the narrative to create liquidity. We'll see how all that works out in the technical element. So it may be something totally new in terms of what it looks like, but with kind of standard fundamentals underneath. That's still something we're figuring out, but one way or the other, one is to be very community focused.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about the LBP events is that you have very high fluctuations, right?
Right.
So we've seen it with CMDX. I always get it wrong.
Right.
CMDX coin that I think they were all the way up to over $6 or something, and then when it ended, it was at $1 whatever something.
Yeah.
And for people who are, the thing is that obviously that's the design mechanism of it, but for people who are not familiar with the design, they just buy it whenever at $4 or $5, right? And then they get entirely wrecked.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of things to consider in these kind of like rolling out the coin in a fair way that everyone has access, but at the same time to have a price finding that is very slow without a lot of volatility and fluctuations. I know that's very hard to manage, and sometimes it works out, and also depends on the market sentiment and a lot of external factors. But yeah, so.
And that's something that's been really interesting to me because, I mean, yeah, that's difficult, and you want to incentivize people to get engaged early, right? And yet the LBP almost is the opposite of that. It's like people who got engaged early are hurt by it, right? Now, obviously, it's one of those things where it's kind of like the Dutch auction we did, where it's like, except for the fact you may lose the opportunity to get in. I don't know, but that's not really the case with the Dutch auction. You buy in early so you don't miss out. But with the LBP, you could always just buy in later when it's cheaper. I mean, you risk it potentially going up, but that hasn't necessarily been the case. So, and one way that I think is really interesting, because think about it this way: if we set it up so that Genesis characters are the ones farming the tokens, they're getting them for free. So the early people benefit; they get it for nothing, right? And it's going to be low supply at first. So if people want to, because we're going to create ways for people to not buy into the prologue, but to be able to get involved, right? So they'd have to buy YAWP tokens and get a character from the Genesis users, right? Some kind of character that can help them farm. Now, the kind of characters they would get can't recruit new characters. Only Genesis NFTs could recruit new characters. So there's going to be a demand for YAWP tokens because people want to get involved in farming new YAWP tokens, right? And they're going to continually want to get new characters. And again, we want this to be an organic experience. We don't want this to feel like a class system where everybody else is a second-class citizen. But nonetheless, there will be a unique opportunity for people who hold Genesis NFTs, and we're going to drive that floor price up as much as we can. But basically, what's really cool about this is, the people who get in early, like the LBP, it's totally free. Right, the Genesis users who are farming it, right? There will be demand for the token, so it might have a high price as there's low supply. But the people who pay that penalty when liquidity is low by buying the token high get involved. Now they can get involved in the farming, and they're getting it for free. So there's still a reward there, and so I like that kind of idea because it's more organic, I think, and there's a reward for getting in early and paying that higher price. But there's more of a reward for just being one of the NFT holders. who gets to be involved, from the beginning. And then the goal is, as people collect tokens, not only are they going to be incentivized to spend them inside the ecosystem, right? Not to sell them, but to keep them inside the ecosystem. Because there's going to be unique ways that they can start, getting involved in quests and actually getting further along in the story, getting unique items and things like that. But then also there's going to be narrative incentives for them to lock up tokens as well as liquidity, right? And so the goal is that people would be able to, again, we create more demand that way. We create more tokens being created for the specific people who are incentivized not to sell them, to lock them up. So yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, I feel I should just let you speak because you're just spitting out a lot of alpha here. I think the whole stream has been an entire alpha stream. Was not expecting that. But yeah, I think we're already at an hour. We can move on to some community questions. Or do you have anything else that you want to share?
No, hit me.
All right. Cool. So there's a lot of comments. There's a lot of people in here. We had, I think, at a peak, almost 100 people. Now 80, but still.
I see Lime from the Discord. You got a bunch of Discord people here, X1K.
Yeah, and somebody said there's already 10,000 people there. So the Strangeclan community is nuts. Somebody is saying
get this up to 100 people watching. We've only got 76 people.
Yeah. So okay, everybody, if you have questions, ask your questions, but also share this link with friends and family. Again, those that were lucky enough to listen to everything that Lex said, you guys have a lot of alpha now, but in the AMA, there might be some more alpha coming. So share this link with your friends, families, with whatever crypto communities you're in, with the NFT guardians of whatever ecosystem. Tell them about it. Because Summit has the perception, he's saying that I'm a gamer since I'm 6 years old. And so far, I didn't see any blockchain-based game that has potential to become a AAA game until I stumbled upon the Strangeclan. So I guess that's a big statement.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I've gotten a lot of affirmation. I mean, here's the thing, and you mentioned this early on in this talk, that from the beginning, we've just been talking to people, right? We've just been engaging with people because ultimately we know, like, we need good counsel. We need to surround ourselves with good advisors. And one of the people who started getting involved with our team early on was I'm gonna botch the pronunciation because I haven't taken French for a while, but it's Capet Levray, which is Capet Levray, CAPET-LEVRAI. He is a esports influencer. He's got like over 100,000 followers on YouTube and Twitter. And he's connected to a bunch of other really cool esports influencers. And he's got a whole team doing esports and like blockchain NFT articles and news. I forget what their site is called, but they do a lot of news in the French community for blockchain-based games because he's seen this opportunity. He's an old school esports guy who's incredibly skilled, for one, and very particular, I have heard. He's really like interested in a lot of the technical elements about low latency and things like that. And so he's just a great person to have, talking to us. And we brought him into Passage early on, and he just saw it right away, immediately saw it. And I think that's part of the benefit that we have is like we're super open. We come from a background in building products where I'm gonna have to plug my computer in here. So maybe pull up another question in just a second here. But basically, we've had a lot of good feedback. We had a lot of good feedback, and I'm excited for where this could go because all of that is because we surrounded ourselves with quality input.
Yeah, I will just keep going through the comments here. We have YAWP here. We have Vasco saying Osmosis FTW. We have Adam here, YAWP. Justin is saying YAWP. It's just crazy. It's like a trend. Everybody, this is like the ultimate brand recognition thing, right? I think And like you said, people just love to like, comment on it on Twitter or on other live streams or whatever. Even when I do live streams with people from other projects in Cosmos that have nothing to do with Strangeclan, people are just there, yup, 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 one after the other. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's such a potential to just be a meme, right? Like where it's exciting and it's just a fun spirit that we have in our community. Like everyone's super kind. I think that's Cosmos in general, frankly. But yeah.
All right, Summit also has a question. Can Lex leak anything about the game mechanics, like how the fighting is going to be, like more of World of Warcraft, I guess, style, or FF12 style? I'd love to see something like blah, blah, blah. I don't know all these games, but yeah.
Totally. We're still figuring some of that stuff out. It's going to be a combination of things. A combination of like Breath of the Wild. So Larian Studios is one of my favorite. Now that's a turn-based game. So I probably actually won't be turn-based, but their storytelling and the rich mechanics there, Divinity Original Sin, Baldur's Gate, all of them are incredible games. I love, Final Fantasy. I love, I played a decent amount. I played a bunch of RuneScape as a kid. And large background in games and storytelling in games. It's going to be very story rich. I mean, that's one of the biggest focuses for us, making sure that we have rich content and a strong community. The mechanics are really good. We have to hold some of that stuff back because it's in such a rough state. But I can tell you, we'll be releasing more gameplay sneak peeks. Probably this week. I think our guys are putting together a little video. So you'll be able to see some stuff. And if you're in the Discord, you've probably seen some of the gameplay stuff that we shared little peeks into what's going on in our test environments.
Yeah, I'll share the Discord right now so people can join there.
Nice.
Kavaskus is saying, "YAWP, Osmo LP, take my money."
Oh yeah, I mean that's what we're excited about too.
Sir Slay is asking, any opportunity to contribute to the game?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're always looking for new talent. We've had lots of people reach out and share a portfolio or something like that. If you can communicate kind of like a clear role that you'd like to fill. I've had some people it's difficult sometimes when people reach out a little bit more generically and like, oh, I'd love to be involved. It's like, tell me what you do. If you can send me or any of the admins a message in Discord or Twitter about what you do and share a little insight into your work, we would love to consider working with anybody from the community.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm just trying to find more questions. There's so many comments. Asking, what is Blockhouse? I think you explained it earlier, right? It's one of your partners who's building these event spaces and other things, right?
Yeah. So our team is working on, this is kind of like, we have a couple worlds we're building internally that we're going to be working with other partners to do events and stuff like that, right? Blockhouse is kind of our space. We have a partner who's doing some of the design work. And then we have worlds that we're helping other people build that are theirs. If you've been keeping an eye on social, you'll see we've talked to some cool influencers, even in the crypto space, some substantial people. And there's some cool stuff happening behind the scenes. So we've got some worlds that we're building personally and we're bringing other people into. We also have some worlds that we're building for other people. But we're trying to keep the initial set of Genesis worlds low because there's only so much we can build so quickly. And we want to deliver value as quickly as possible and not just like this, it's coming.
Yeah, I'm just smiling all the time because people are typing YAWPcito. So when is that happening? Well, YAWPcito, yes.
Yep.
So when are we launching that, Lex?
Let's do it. Oh my! I heard you and Liam were talking about NFTs for crypto influencers.
No, I think actually. I've been thinking about this a lot. Obviously, the name Cryptocito came because I lived a while in Latin America, right? And they have this habit to just end Cito, Cita at the ending, right? To make it sound more, nicer, cute or whatever. Right. So it came to me overnight, like Cryptocito, like, oh, cool, that sounds cool. I want to take that. Yep. It's also easy to remember those things. Yeah. But it's also a great recognition, right? And you can just use it for anything, right? So Liamcito DAO, YAWPcito, you can use it for anything.
Yep.
And I think maybe that's really something, like you said, at this this kind of like virality material, with what meme coins have, right? All these dog coins are going viral. We could do something like that in the Cosmos ecosystem, but add actual utility to it, right? So I don't know if there's any way we could make Cito happening with some real utility in the game or whatever. I think that would be a fun thing to explore.
Well, and that's what we're good at. I mean, that's what we excel at is, I mean, what we've been trying to do with Passage is create a use case for all this cool, narrative stuff for like, because people have, what we can do eventually with Passage is basically give a utility to anything, right? Because when you have a virtual world, suddenly that thing, right, that cool piece of art has utility because it can live in the virtual world. It can be a piece of art on the wall, right? Every NFT now has utility because of our ecosystem. Same thing with like YAWP. I mean, like if you can build, like how fun would it be to have like spaces? Well, and I've thought about this. I've thought about for Passage token holders, a travelers guild, right? Which would be a space in I want to say any Passage world, but basically all of our partner worlds, any of the worlds that we work with personally, where Passage token holders would have exclusive access, right? To do community events, to do whatever, to do some fun things in that world, right? In Strangeclan, in Blockhouse, it's like you could have like a Cryptocito headquarters in each of the Passage worlds, right? And it could be YAWP, Blockcito, like whatever, and like you could be the Cito guild of, between worlds, right? And so as this ecosystem builds out, suddenly you have value that's not just unique to each world, but also that's created by the aggregate of all the worlds, right? And so now there's value in, interworld interaction.
Mm-hmm. It will also change entirely the nature of how you engage with your community as a content creator and all these things. Yeah. I think we talked about this already months ago, but even to potentially do Cosmoverse, in multiple worlds, right? Where every influencer, for example, that comes to the conference has their own community. They can have their own world simultaneously and be there as well, right? And engage with their community more directly, right?
Right.
I think that's inevitably going to happen. I think a lot of opportunities there.
Imagine if your world as a creator was a space where you could do events, share content, videos, articles, whatever. You could hang out with people, right? It would be 3D, so there's this potential to actually have physical or virtual events. But then you could also just have content that lives in the space, right? Like a screen, streaming, content, whatever, a catalog of content people can access in that space. It's decentralized, right? Storage, DNS, all those things. And then when you do an event, it's just kind of this like carnival world where everybody else's world appears as like a tent or a building, right? And you can now, it's just, and events could be just collections of different worlds coming together to form one hub where you can quickly hop between, and there's kind of an open space where you're all together, but then you can kind of, travel through the different, partnered worlds for that event. Kind of like booths at a convention, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're already seeing it also with crypto events, right? Throughout this year, earlier this year at least, many of them have, used kind of like virtual places to host them, and I think, like people are now used to it, and at least, obviously we plan to make the next Cosmoverse also physically, but also we'll take, maybe spend more time to build it also in a virtual space, and maybe even in multiple virtual spaces, right? So, yeah. Adam is saying, I can't wait for the marketplace on Juno so I can sell my NFT characters. Said no one ever. I think given what you just heard in terms of utility, especially for Genesis holders, that's probably nobody going to say.
I think people are really excited to be able to like just see their characters like on chain, to be able to like all those things are exciting for the NFT holders. But then the marketplace is probably most exciting for the people who are trying to get in on the NFTs, who weren't in the first sale and who aren't willing to wait for the second sale. So I can sympathize with that.
Dave is asking, I'm not, because you're not a developer, you're not a tech person, but maybe you can help answer or maybe direct to somebody. From a technical perspective, how do you enable tactile on-chain gaming experience as long as most blockchains are not really responsive?
Yeah, so he's talking about real-time interactions and how, and all that has to do, because I think what he's saying is, even with Cosmos, you got to wait a couple seconds, right? And that's not a thing, right? When you change something in a game, like opening a door or throwing a projectile, there's no like, I'm going to wait a couple seconds, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, like you need to know this now, and it needs to go up to the server, and everybody else needs to know that bullet just went out of my gun, because if it hits somebody, there should be an impact. And so that's an important part. Having low latency experiences is difficult with blockchain, but then that's just really a question of how much do you want to put on chain, right? And for us, it's like, well, shoot, we'd love to get more and more things on chain to create more opportunity for fairness and decentralization. But at the same time, like there is also a clear, that's not the only value proposition. There's so much more, like even just being able to have the NFTs on chain and the assets or the tokens that you would earn in game. You know, there's a lot of ground we can cover right there before we even get into that stuff. So.
Awesome, yeah. And I guess for follow-up questions, you can also join the Discord channel and ask there. Jen is asking, have you already secured partnerships with other NFT projects?
Yeah, we're actively collaborating with some other NFT projects. So we've been talking with Hero NFT from the Terra Luna Solana ecosystem. We had another NFT project reach out today. We're collaborating with lots of different people, but finding, because we want to make sure that wherever we partner, we're adding value, they're adding value, like that it benefits the community. We don't want it to just be fluff, like, hey, we're both going to do a giveaway. Like that's cool and that's fun, but that's not a partnership. That's a marketing ploy, right? And so we're trying to do meaningful partnerships. There's another big potential partnership in the works right now with a major crypto influencer. Hopefully we'll be able to talk about more soon, but yeah.
Even bigger than Cryptocito? Wow.
I know, right? I know.
No, that's cool, man.
No, I'm talking
that's
about
really
you.
Cool.
You didn't know about this? We're making an NFT project for you.
No, I have to get there, man. I mean, obviously the last weeks have been insane and the community is super active, but talking about real influencers, you know, like 100K plus real followers, I think that's where I want to get to as well eventually. But yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. You'll get there. You'll get there.
Really awesome. Steve BF or whatever is saying, I'm just full-time Strangeclan shilling on Twitter for free with love. It's awesome.
Oh, it's going to benefit all of us. Dude, the community that we have and the influence that you guys have has been huge. Just having people who are active and involved, huge difference.
Yeah, that's true. YAWPcito definitely has to be done. I agree. When YAWPCon.
Yep, all about events.
People even asking for Lexcito. So we'll have our own space where we'll have our own coins.
Yes.
Errol is saying we could build a Cryptocito nation state that operates on the YAWPcito token. Yeah, man. Cito to the moon, Cito headquarters, sounds shifty. Man, there's this crazy, so many people. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up. Maybe one last thing that we're left with. Please be picky with NFT partners. There's so much trash on the market. And I agree. There's, like you said, a lot of things, you know, they say, oh yeah, we're partnered, but then they only have, you know, giveaways and whatever, and nothing really behind. We've seen the same in 2017. I've been around there. And it was like, oh, we partnered with this, we partnered with that. But then it's just, you know, one Medium article. So, yeah.
And that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. You know, we're trying to be in a place where we can, and for us, a partnership is high commitment, because usually what we're talking about is building some type of passage world, some type of passage interaction. Unless it's something that fits naturally in the Strangeclan world, you know, we're looking for something much more involved, which oftentimes other people aren't ready for that. We have a couple partners who are ready for that, which is cool. So big things coming.
Awesome. Yeah, and knowing you, I'm also fully sure and confident that you will not do any of these hype things, because you guys are actually sitting down and taking the time to evaluate things and not rush and jump on things, which is very unusual in crypto, to be honest. Everyone does it. You easily get dragged in that, you know, noise left and right, and you follow that noise. But you seem to be very, you know, kind of like relaxed, I would say, in that sense, to not jump on these things immediately. So that's a big thing, a big positive, I would say.
Thanks, brother.
Miguel is saying, is there a plan to make the onboarding for a game for the game easy for non-crypto people?
Oh, that's like number one on our priority list. And then we've already been doing that with the streaming concept, right? I mean, the whole idea there is that you can hop into the browser, right? No apps, no downloads, right? And so that's been our philosophy from the beginning. And we're looking at opportunities for allowing people to come into the experience without setting up a wallet, to have some kind of managed wallet or hosted wallet solution, and then transition as they're ready, as they get through the educational process, right? If they're already set up, great, right? Then the people who already have Kepler, MetaMask, whatever, like they'll be able to, it's not going to be any problem for them, but we have to make sure that there's an easy, intuitive default workflow for people who don't know about those things, right? And then once you're in the experience, earning some tokens, you get a little like, notice that says, hey, you got some tokens in your wallet. You start to educate people on how they can use that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's probably the most important thing, to focus on those people, because you don't have to sell crypto and blockchain in the first place, right? You sell the experience, you sell the event. Sabodor, I'm having a hard time with names today. I'm so hyped about the prologue, OMG.
Yes.
Evil Easy, I don't know. How do you get into Town 2 sale? Is it realistic to get into it, or will it be highly competitive?
I think it'll be realistic. And it'll be especially realistic if you get involved now. I mean, we're building out community events. I'm writing up some cool storytelling elements, and I'm putting together some quests. I'll just be totally, here's some more alpha, right? Be prepared for more quests, right? Early on, we had a quest where users could, and it was simple, like there was a story that we created that's still part of the bigger picture, a story we're building for Strangeclan. And all people had to do was pick a faction, basically. They picked a character that they wanted to follow, and they were able to get into a exclusive channel on Discord where they've been getting more alpha than other people. And those are the people who've been dedicated the longest, right? And they got in early and got engaged, right? And I'll tell you, 100% of those people got in on the whitelist, right? And that's just because they were involved, they were engaged. If you get in the Discord now, keep an eye out, like literally today, like go get involved, get all your buddies involved, because this week, next week, things are going to be coming out where you'll have another chance to get involved. And here's the thing, there's going to be people from the first path, right, who miss out on future opportunities because they get lazy, right? And they're not going to lose the opportunities they've gained, but there will be kind of smaller circles that get created where they're more exclusive. So,
as always in life, you have to be early in things to maximize your potential rewards or benefits or whatever. Maybe we can take one very last question. By the way, Lime Lit Girl is saying, if you haven't hit the like button, please, and take a moment to share your report. Please, this is the thing, right? In YouTube, you always have to play these algorithm things and blah, blah. But yeah, please do that. And we'll also show all your channels in a second.
Hit the like button.
Yeah.
If you hit the like button, you have better chances of getting on the whitelist. That's
there we go.
Certified right there.
Cito, whitelist. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Whitelist incoming.
Yep.
Let's take one last question from AI. Taking from the success of DeFi Kingdoms, do you guys plan to incorporate more features to the game, such as an in-game DEX?
Yeah, so not a DEX. A story doesn't need a DEX. A game doesn't need a DEX. A game needs a place where you can trade, right? But it shouldn't be. So what I love DeFi Kingdom for making something that people are using actively, and it's popular, it's had a lot of success, totally, 100%. Is it the best, right? Like, is this the best we can do? No way. Like, there's so much more that we can do to create more narrative and less, this is like DeFi with the custom background, right? With like, DeFi with an avatar. It's like, cool, like that's awesome. Those are cool elements, but like, let's go more story heavy. And you don't even need to use the word DEX, right? That's just one thing that's going to kill adoption right from the outset, is people have to figure out what a DEX is, right? There needs to be a place to trade. Yes, absolutely. I think we'll have a lot of elements where it is DeFi, but it's totally obscured by fun, engaging game mechanics and narrative.
Beautiful. Man, we covered a lot of things. We talked about the YAWP token. We talked about the Passage token. We talked about the gamification and insane game theory, circulating demand also for both tokens. We talked about the rollout of the product, about specific gamification items, a lot of things. So if you're just tuning in now after 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 20 seconds of the stream, you have to rewatch the whole thing. I'm sorry.
Rewind,
rewatch the whole thing, watch everything.
Yep.
I'll provide also later the timestamps. Always takes me forever to make these, but I'll get it done. You can navigate easier back and forth. Lex, thank you so much for coming on. So let's show, before you get off, let's show all your channels. The first one, obviously, Strangeclan, which is at the Strangeclan on Twitter, right? With the Strangeclan before. I think that's someone else who made Strangeclan only, but it's the Strangeclan. Then we have your personal one, which is Lex Avellino. Is that how you pronounce it? Avellino. I'll also post it here. That's the Discord one. That's your Twitter one. What else do we have? Passage 3D. Want to show that as well? Let me put that into into the comments at Passage 3D. And let's also show your brothers.
Yeah, we got to get Errol up here.
Errol, yes. He's not even at 1,000 followers. Come on.
Nah, we'll work on that.
Not yet. We'll get there. So go over for follow Errol, follow all of you guys. And yeah, we'll stay in touch. We'll probably see a lot from you on Twitter as well in terms of announcements, and also here on my channel. So yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Take care.